I was married for 64 years before my husband passed away. And after all those years, I came to understand something that most people never want to hear. You probably didn't marry the perfect person. That may sound discouraging at first, but it isn't. In fact, accepting that truth may be the very thing that gives a marriage the chance to last. When I was young, I believed love worked like a fairy tale. I thought there was one perfect person waiting for me somewhere, and once I found him, everything would naturally fall into place. He was kind, hardworking, funny, and everyone around us believed we were a perfect match. For a while, I believed it too. Then ordinary life arrived. We discovered little habits that irritated each other. We disagreed about money, family, raising children, and how to spend our time. Small frustrations turned into arguments. Tiny disagreements felt enormous because they happened every day. I began wondering whether I had made the biggest mistake of my life. One afternoon, while talking with an older woman who had been married for decades, I confessed that maybe my husband and I simply weren't meant for each other. I expected sympathy. Instead, she smiled and told me something that stayed with me for the rest of my life. She said that every marriage begins with two imperfect people. The secret isn't finding someone perfect. The secret is deciding again and again to build something meaningful with the person you chose. At the time, I didn't fully understand what she meant. Now I do. The person you marry is never the same person you grow old with. Life changes everyone. The young man full of confidence slowly becomes someone carrying responsibilities, disappointments, victories, and scars. The woman who once dreamed about the future becomes someone shaped by motherhood, loss, success, illness, and wisdom. Years pass, and both people become strangers in some ways and familiar in others. Marriage isn't about freezing two people in time. It's about learning to love each new version that life creates. The husband I met as a young woman was ambitious and energetic. Years later, he became quieter under the weight of responsibilities. As he grew older, he became softer, gentler, and more patient. Eventually, age slowed him down, and he needed help with everyday tasks that once seemed effortless. Each season revealed a different man, and every season asked me to choose him again. The same happened to me. I changed in ways I never expected. The shy young woman became more confident. Grief taught me compassion. Illness taught me courage. Age taught me patience. Every challenge reshaped my personality until I hardly resembled the person who stood at the altar all those years before. If we had expected each other never to change, our marriage would have ended long before it truly began. Instead, we learned to grow together, not always at the same pace, not always in the same direction, but together. One of the biggest misunderstandings about marriage is believing your partner should complete every part of your life. No single person can carry that responsibility. Your spouse cannot always be your closest friend, your counselor, your biggest source of entertainment, your financial advisor, your emotional support, your travel companion, and your answer to every loneliness. That expectation is simply too heavy for anyone. Healthy marriages leave room for friendships, personal interest, individual growth, and different strengths. We didn't enjoy all the same hobbies. We didn't think alike. We often solved problems in completely different ways. Yet those differences became part of what made our partnership stronger. There were seasons when I didn't particularly like him. That's an uncomfortable truth, but it's an honest one. There were days when silence felt easier than conversation. There were arguments that left both of us hurt and exhausted. There were moments when I imagined how peaceful life might feel if I lived alone. But those feelings eventually passed. What remained was the commitment we had made. Love isn't measured by how often life feels effortless. It's measured by what you choose when life becomes difficult. Over time, many of the things that once irritated me began to make sense. His quiet nature wasn't indifference. It was simply how he processed his thoughts. His attitude toward money wasn't carelessness. It came from growing up with very little and wanting the security he never had as a child. Once I understood the reasons behind his behavior, frustration slowly turned into compassion. Understanding changes conversations that arguments never could. Another lesson took many years to learn. Marriage is rarely an equal exchange every single day. Sometimes one person carries most of the weight, while the other simply tries to survive. There were periods when illness left me unable to contribute much at all. My husband cared for me with patience and kindness, never making me feel like a burden. Years later, when life knocked him down emotionally and professionally, it became my turn to carry us. Neither of us kept score. Keeping score is one of the quickest ways to weaken a relationship. Strong marriages aren't built on perfectly balanced effort. They're built on mutual trust that, over the course of a lifetime, both people will give everything they can whenever the other needs it most. Looking back, I think many people expect perfection from relationships. They expect one person to meet every emotional need for decades without changing. Real life doesn't work that way. Real love allows room for imperfections. Real partnership accepts that people will disappoint each other from time to time. Even knowing your flaws, I still choose to stand beside you. As the years passed, our greatest achievements weren't grand vacations or expensive possessions. Our greatest achievement was building an ordinary life together. We celebrated small victories. We comforted each other through painful losses. We faced uncertainty hand in hand. We laughed during difficult seasons, because sometimes laughter was the only thing that kept us moving forward. Those ordinary moments became extraordinary simply because we experienced them together. Now, after a lifetime of memories, I don't spend much time wondering whether I married the right person. That question no longer matters. What matters is that two imperfect people kept choosing each other through changing seasons, unexpected hardships, personal growth, and the passing years. That's what created a lasting marriage. Not destiny, not luck, not perfection. Choice. Every single day. If you're questioning your relationship because things feel difficult, remember this. Difficulty doesn't automatically mean you've chosen the wrong person. Every lasting relationship encounters seasons that test patience, commitment, and love. The more important question isn't whether your partner is perfect. The real question is whether both of you are willing to keep choosing one another, to keep learning, forgiving, growing, and showing up, even when life feels heavy. Because lasting love isn't something that simply happens. It's something two people build together, one ordinary day at a time. And if I had the chance to live my life all over again, knowing every challenge we would face, every disagreement we would survive, every tear and every laugh we would share, I would still make the same choice. Not because we were perfect, but because together we created a life that was worth choosing every single day.